Hello everyone, welcome back to Yes Guy Gaming here with another update on the Olympic status, what's going on in the Olympics. For those of you who've been following around, you've probably seen some of the results. For those of you who haven't, I'm going to briefly go through them, give some of my thoughts, just how the tournament's been going so far, some of the themes, and some of the incredible results we've seen from some of these matches. So let's get to it. So in our previous update, we talked a little bit about the heat and how that might be a factor for some of these matches, and I think for some of them it definitely had been. Some of the teams looked fatigued out there and really struggling to get really physical and play at a high level, which is super important, especially when we get into elimination matches. So coming out of pool play, you had some teams playing kind of at prime time at night under the lights, which made for a very different style of play as opposed to playing in the middle of the day at the peak heat times. So that certainly affected some games more than others. The other thing that started to creep up, especially as we get to the elimination games, was some of these crucial calls and refereeing decisions that are being made. I mean, this isn't something that I would say was a theme at the last Olympics in Rio. You didn't see too many crazy calls. I think things made sense. You had the replay challenge system to really address this, but here we've seen in some of these games and some of these clutch moments some really strange decisions made by referees and just tough calls that have hurt teams and sometimes eliminated them. The biggest example that comes to mind is in a Team Canada match. Heather Bansley and Brandy Wilkerson were playing Sponsel and Clace of the US in the round of 16, and in the third set at 12-11, kind of a close third set, the ball goes just out of bounds. Referees call it out of bounds. They challenge it. The replay, in my opinion, shows it in. If you haven't seen that replay, go look it up. I'm not sure that I'll be able to put it on this video for copyright reasons, but go look it up. That match, that replay, to me, it looked in. Like, if we're looking at that ball mark, if we're calling that at practice or just anywhere, that's out in 8 times out of 10. But when you watch the replay, there's not actually a frame that shows the ball making contact with the line. It just kind of, that it's so fast that it kind of misses that, and it could be considered out. Such a weird call. But what made it even weirder was that when they put the challenge replay up, the line said ball in. So Sponsel and Clay are thinking, hey, successful challenge, we're getting back to serve, and then right near the end of the replay, it flips to ball out, which is the weirdest thing we've ever seen. It's unclear what the heck even happened. Potentially just a video like presentation mistake and they had it out the whole time. Not sure why it would have ever said ball in. Very weirdly handled on a crucial point that gave Canada a lead that they ended up holding, and it was that point that made the difference in the end. We also saw a joust play where a ref called a player on over the net on a joust encounter, which just made absolutely no sense. And we've seen a number of hand setting calls on some of these players, and in these elimination matches, these are the best setters in the world, and with the benefit of replay, they slow it right down on the stream we're watching, and the handsets going through, and they look beautiful, and no idea for the fans or even people who know volleyball well why the heck these are getting called on lifts or doubles, or it's not really clear why. So that aside, it only affected a few matches, and sometimes not even in a crucial way. I think the Sponsel Clace Team Canada one was the biggest impact. But let's get to some of the results as we head into the semifinals, and medal matches now starting to happen, and some interesting upsets. So we'll start off on the women's side, and our two Canadian teams were in the mix, were battling. Sarah Pavin and Melissa Umana Paredes going up against Taliko Clancy and Artacho de Solar, a great Australian team, and it was a battle. I mean, a straight up battle. Australia getting the victory over Team Canada. The world champions go down in the quarterfinals. All of Canada is incredibly disappointed, but that Australian team put together a heck of a match and played very well to earn their way into the semi. In the other Team Canada match, Brandy Wilkerson, Heather Bansley taking on this Latvian team who's kind of the surprise of the tournament, getting a few really solid matches, a good draw, and they end up getting the upset over Team Canada as well, winning 2-1 in that third set. Again, a tense, crucial third set. Team Canada just making way too many errors in that match, and Latvia's making it on to the semifinals. On the other side, you had Ross and Kleiman, the number 2 seeds in the world, number 1 at some times in the FIVB, taking on the defending gold medalist Laura Ludwig and her partner Kozic, and that was a battle, 21-19, 21-19. The defending gold medalist goes down. The Americans are moving on to the semifinals. That's a team we kind of expected to be fighting for a medal, and tough draw for Ludwig there to have to defend her gold medal against a really top quality team in the quarterfinal, but the Americans moving on. And in the other semifinal, it was a battle between the Swiss team Heidrich Verge de Prey and Silva and Ramos of Brazil, and that's a tough battle in the quarterfinal. I mean, two great teams. The Swiss team ends up getting the win. So that means on the women's side, there are no Brazilian teams in the semifinal, which is not something we've really often said at the Olympics. So if we're looking at the semifinals on the women's side, we've got Verge de Prey and Heidrich taking on Kleiman and Ross. I mean, my early prediction there is that Kleiman and Ross get the win there. The Swiss team really had a great tournament so far. They're going to be battling for a medal, but I think just Kleiman and Ross, too strong, too determined, just such a high quality team, playing well at the right time. I would give them the nod on that one. And in the other semifinal, we've got Australia. Artacho de Salar and Clancy take on Krabnikova Grodina of Latvia. Both these teams excited to be in the semifinal. That is going to be a battle. I would have said Australia has the edge in this one just on world rankings and performance, but this Latvian team played super well. They're siding out at a very high level right now. Play a really cool style. A lot of two balls, a lot of hard hits. So not easy to defend. So expect that one to be a battle and see who gets through. I'm not sure. My prediction, I think I'll go with Australia. They've played very well. I would expect them to be ready to go and deliver. Maybe some nerves for both teams. But shoot, that one could go either way. So flipping over to the men's draw and things, some pretty incredible matches over there, but nothing really, no third sets in the quarterfinals as we move towards the semifinals. The Qatar team of Ahmed and Sharif taking down Lupo and Nikolai. Tough draw for them as this Qatar team is super hot right now, playing very well, making their way in the semifinal with a 2-0 victory. On that same quarterfinal, Krasilnikov and Stoyanovsky, the world champions, taking on Wickler and Toll, the team they beat in the World Championship final. So a World Championship final rematch in the quarterfinal there. Krasilnikov and Stoyanovsky getting the win. That's a very strong team as well. I mean, they're the world champions for a reason. They're booking their ticket into the semifinal. On the other side, we had kind of a surprise. So Plavins and Tox, a team who might not have qualified for the Olympics if it weren't for the kind of play-in tournament that happened a few years ago, but they're making the most of this opportunity as they've gotten a few wins, getting the first round win. Now they're going up against Alison Cerruti, who is multiple Olympic medalist, great player all time with Alvaro in his first Olympics, but Plavins and Tox getting the win. I wouldn't have called that. That to me is a surprise. They get the big win, moving on to the semifinals. So Latvia and both genders ending up in the semifinals. Great showing for them. Again, though, we look at the other semifinal on that side. Mol and Sorum taking on Leshakov and Semenov of Russia. So that a battle, a great match between two solid teams. The Russian team going down, Mol and Sorum getting the win. We expected them to be fighting for a medal. They've earned their way into the semifinals, and now we'll really see who gets the job done. So on the men's side, again, no Brazilian teams in the semifinals. So there will be no Brazilian medals on either side for the beach volleyball, which is unbelievable, unheard of. Things are changing in beach volleyball in the world, apparently. Not really, because they're probably the top-ranked teams in the world still on the World Tour, but we're at the Olympics. So for our men's semifinals, we've got Sorum and Mol taking on Plavins and Tox. So, I mean, my prediction has to go to Mol and Sorum. This team is dominant. They've won a number of World Tour events. They were built for this moment. They've been preparing for this moment for their entire careers, basically. And Plavins and Tox, I mean, they've got to be happy to be competing for a medal, and they still will be. But I'm going with Mol and Sorum to win that semifinal and move on to the gold medal final. In the other semifinal, we've got Ahmed and Sharif taking on Krasilnikov and Stoyanovsky, and this is certain to be a frickin' battle. I'm not sure how many times these teams have played each other, but these are two very physical, very determined teams. This will be a fight. Maybe the match of the tournament. Well, potentially, we'll see what happens in the gold medal final, but potentially the match of the tournament building right here. Happens at 9 a.m. on Thursday, August 5th. That's going to be a fight. So be sure to tune into that one. My edge, I got to give the slight edge to Ahmed and Sharif. They've been playing so well recently. They're just on a roll. They're on fire. They're happy. They're playing loose. Whereas potentially a lot of pressure on these world champions. I don't know, though. It could go either way. Holy. All right, so that'll do it for the update for the beach volleyball situation. Some really exciting matches looking to come up very, very soon. So tune into those, check them out, and then we'll be playing gold and bronze medal games, which are sure to be exciting. I mean, I'm looking forward to diving in, watching them, getting in depth with what happens and who's doing what, because these are the top teams in the world playing their best at the peak time. So should be a lot of fun to watch. So thank you guys. Hope you enjoy this update. Hopefully it's helpful for you, just giving some of my thoughts and predictions for what's going to happen. So hit me up in the comments below if I missed something. Totally possible that I did. I'm not perfect, but hopefully it was something educational for you and you enjoyed the video. So thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next time on Yes Guy Gaming.